All right. Well, the Eagles do remain unbeaten all time versus the Jets. They get a 24-17 win, their first win of the season, and first half certainly did bear on offense than in the second half, and God bless Darren Sproles. Um, he had a big punt return for touchdown. At that point, it made it 10-0 Eagles, and the Eagles would go on to increase their lead throughout the first half up to 24-0 before the Jets got a late first half touchdown by Brandon Marshall. And then the second half, the Jets did all the scoring, but they only could get 10 points in the second half. Eagles defense, as I said in my little pregame video, I said about I did mention this about the Eagles defense. They've been playing pretty good. Ever since the first half in the Atlanta game, the second half they played much better, holding the Falcons to 6 second half points. They played really well versus Dallas. Only gave their defense only gave up 13 points, as I said. The other touchdown Dallas scored was a punt block return for touchdown. And today, again, 7 points in the first half given up, and that came very late in the first half. In the second half, they only gave up 10 points. They got turnovers. They basically outjetted the Jets defense. Coming into the game, the Jets about 5 turnovers a game. Today they got, I believe, 2, and the Eagles got, I believe, if I'm remembering correct, about four turnovers. They picked off Fitzpatrick a few times. They got I don't know what the heck Marshall was doing. He was trying to pitch the ball to a teammate, and that didn't really work out. So Marshall basically had a had a turnover there on that play. Eagles did a really good job. They were able to get some pressure on Fitzpatrick. They didn't sack him a bunch, but they got the pressure and it led to some turnovers. They also batted down a lot of passes and deflected a lot of passes. One of those went for a interception. The guys filling in for injured players had a really good game. Hicks had a really good game. The rookie out of Texas, really good game. I think he had a fumble recovery and an interception, if I'm remembering correct. Again, I don't have all the stats in front of me. I probably should do when I do these videos, but I'm kind of doing it off memory. But the Eagles. Again, one of the things I said before the game is that they were going to have opportunities to make plays offensively because Todd Bowles loves the blitz, and that means guys are going to be open. This, but that being said, there were plays to be made that Bradford didn't hit. Some passes were awry. He had more chances to make some plays and didn't make them. One play, I believe, Nelson Aguilar was open for what would have been a big gainer. He missed him. Another play, he underthrew Miles Austin on what could have been a touchdown. And a similar play that they didn't hit on against Atlanta in Week 1, they didn't hit on again. So Bradford still has some things to work on. I think overall the offensive line played pretty well. They were able to open up some running lanes, and DeMarco Murray didn't play. He was out with the hamstring. The groin injury, excuse me. But Ryan Matthews played really well, and I was watching the highlights on NFL Network, and LaDainian Tomlinson said something that's very true, is that Ryan Matthews has always played in his collegiate career and his pro career out of offenses that go by the he has run out of the shotgun formation a lot, and that's one of the formations the Eagles like to run out of. And DeMarco Murray really isn't a great shotgun runner. Now, could that change? It could, but the point that LT was making is that maybe Matthews is the better fit for this offense, and he could be right about that. I mean, obviously the first couple games have been really ugly with Murray not able, and the offensive line is really to blame for a lot of that too. But still, not really used to running out of the shotgun formation, DeMarco Murray, and you can see the results. I mean, he just has he has more seemingly carries that go backwards than forwards, and Matthews is the starter in this game. and he rushes for a bit over 100 yards and had a really nice game. He did have a fumble, but overall he ran hard. He shedded tackles, and again, over 100 yards against a tough front, against a tough defense on the Jets, and you get over 100 yards on the road. Really good job by Matthews. Now, he dropped some passes, but he did have a touchdown reception. Like I said, big game by Darren Sproles. The Eagles just seem to know how to return kickoffs in the Meadowlands, don't they? Whether they're playing the Giants or the Jets, it's just they always seem to, get one there. I know Giant fans certainly know all about that. But today the Jet fans were able to learn about that with the Eagles. That was a heck of a return. That was one of the best punt returns for touchdowns that I've seen, in a while. I mean, he really made some moves there, and that's what Darren Sproles does. He's a dangerous player. He made a big play, and really was one of the kind of statement plays on the game. Like I said, the Eagles' defense have been playing good, really. You take out that first half in Atlanta, and, oh, by the way, Julio Jones had another big game today against Dallas. And Julio Jones does that against everybody, okay? But, you take out that first half, and the Eagles' defense have played really well. They've gotten their share of takeaways. They've been pressuring the quarterback. They've been stopping the run. The Jets had nowhere to go on their running game. And one of the keys I had going into this game, you got to stop the running game for the Jets because they are a run-first offense. If you can hamper their running attack, Fitzpatrick, he's going to have his interceptions. I know he's been having a pretty good year, but he's going to throw his share of interceptions, and he did today. And I also said the loss of Eric Decker is going to hamper the Jets, and I think it did. Obviously, one of my keys going into is you had to figure out where number 15 was, or where Marshall was. Marshall got his. He got some catches there. But there really wasn't that other receiver. I know they tried to hit a few on Smith, a few deep balls. One really nice interception by Eric Rowe, who had a nice game too. A couple of pass deflect defenses and that great interception. But there really wasn't that other receiver. Smith is a rookie, and then Curley, and they tried to hit other guys, but they really didn't have that type of success as they were having with Decker in there. That certainly worked to the Eagles' favor too. The Eagles' defense did a great job against the run. Like I said, they got pressure on Fitzpatrick. They forced turnovers. They were aggressive, and they had a heck of a game. I mean, if it wasn't for the defense, maybe the Eagles, maybe this is a loss. Because in the second half, the offense got shut out. They weren't looking too good. Again, Bradford missing some plays that could have been there and were there because the Jets were blitzing and there were open receivers and Bradford just wasn't hitting them. I got to give, you hamper on the offensive line when they were playing poorly. The first two games, really that Dallas game just got out of hand. But you got to give credit where credit's due. They played well today. Again, opening up holes. Matthews had a nice game, over 100 yards, and giving Bradford time to make some throws. Now he missed some of those throws, but he hit some of those throws. The touchdown to Matthews was a touch pass down the sidelines for a touchdown. It's one game, but obviously it was against a really good defense. So they played well. Going into the game, a lot of Eagle fans are not feeling too good about things because we figured, oh man, the offensive line, they couldn't do anything against Dallas. Now here they go against a great defensive front, and but they played really well. The tackles played really well. I thought that Peters had his best game of the season today. Good pocket for Bradford. Bradford's got to hit those passes, And that's something that going forward, I think, we're definitely this week against Washington. And by the way, I did misspeak, and I apologize about that. Obviously, this week's Thursday night game is the Ravens and the Steelers. The old rivalry continues. But the Eagles play on Sunday, not Thursday. They play Sunday, another 1:00 game at the Redskins next week. And so all in all, a win is a win is a win. I'm much more happier to be 1-2 than 0-3. But there are still things that they have to do better at, particularly on offense. Bradford has got to be more accurate. And one of the things about him over the years is he's an accurate quarterback. And I don't know how much of it is because he didn't play last year. He's still, going through the progressions, but he's got to be more accurate. There are plays to be made down the field, and he's got to make them. I mean, it's as simple as that. And today, again, he was given more time to make some throws. He missed some throws, particularly in the second half. And, going forward, I'm hoping that he can, hit those plays that are there to be hit. But the Eagles did a much better job today running the ball, and that's one of the big reasons why they were able to put some points on the board today. It's a shame they couldn't do that last week against Dallas because that was a winnable game. That was a game that could have been had, in the win column, and unfortunately, they just couldn't do much of anything on offense. But yeah, much better first half on offense. They scored some points, and you know what? They got out in front. They got some momentum going. The defense got some turnovers. And it's like I said in my pregame talk, you got to get that momentum. The only way to turn this thing around is to get that momentum. And that's certainly what they got in the first half. And it really kind of carried them to a victory. That and the defense. Great job by the defense today. Special teams, obviously. Jones had a great game punting, pinning the Jets deep time after time. And also, of course, the return by Darren Sproles. Big time special teams today. Special teams, defense, and the running game really is what contributed to the Eagles' win today. And the offensive line. Got to give them credit. You know what? They've been much maligned the first couple weeks. Got to give them credit. They were physical today against a really good front against the Jets, and they were a big reason why the Eagles got a W. Much better effort by them. Much better. And it's certainly, hopefully, something that can carry on into next week against Washington. And you take it from there. It's like I said last week, before the game, during my pregame video, the only way to turn this thing around is to get a win. And they got that win today. Now they're 1-2. A win next week, they're at 500. They're 2-2. If they can get that win, the Redskins will be 1-3. We'll see what the Giants do. Dallas, they gave up a lead today against Atlanta. They're 2-1, but that could have been a win for them. But the Falcons kind of exposed their defense a little bit, ran on them, and Julio had another Julio day. So thank you, Falcons, giving Dallas their first loss. So we'll see. It's a week-to-week thing, as it is with any team. You hope for the best. Any fan of any team, you hope for the best. And you criticize when there's reasons to criticize, but you got to praise when there's times to praise. And the Eagles, for the most part today played better. Second half, again, Bradford's got to hit some of those throws, and hopefully going forward he will. But again, much better on the running game. We'll see what happens with Murray next week if he plays. Hopefully, they can kind of pick up where they left off this week, running their running game. And we'll see. Obviously, I'm much in a better mood in this video than I was last Sunday. Which, by the way, that video has almost 1,000 views, and I'm shocked by that because I normally don't get that type of views. But I'm glad people enjoyed my rant last week after the Eagles lost to Dallas, or my just absolute frustration and just after that game. But as I said in that game, in that video, and as I said in the pregame for this one, I haven't given up on the season. I fully feel that this team can turn it around, and one of the reasons I feel that way is because their defense is playing really well. And obviously you want the offense to play better, certainly Bradford, but the defense is going to keep them in a lot of games, and they have played really well, and give them a lot of credit. They have really, since that first half against Atlanta, they've been pretty much lights out. They still have yet to give up a rushing touchdown. They played really good against the run. They're getting their turnovers. They're getting to the quarterback. And you got to give them a lot of credit. This week against Washington coming up, and I'll get more into the game in the pregame video, but you're going up against a quarterback like Fitzpatrick that will, make his mistakes. And you got to get pressure on him, and you got to, get to Kirk Cousins because he will turn the ball over. That's something that, he he's had a history so far of doing that in the NFL. We'll get more into that in the pregame talk with Washington week, now in week 4 coming up. But again, hey, you know what? Eagles get a win. A win's a win. I was able to ring the wind chimes after the game and turn on the light up hat for the first time this season. They're 1-2. Hopefully they can continue to put the pieces back together. Like I said, a lot of credit to the defense, the offensive line, the running game, Ryan Matthews, Darren Sproles, and solid win against a really tough defense in their building, which I said in the pregame, the Eagles are pretty good in the Meadowlands. They have a really good record there against in MetLife Stadium, and it continued today, and now they're 10-0 versus the Jets all time, and also there was a tweet, the Eagles are 2-0 when the Pope's in town. 1979 and now 2015, the Eagles have won when the Pope has been in Philadelphia. Maybe we can keep him here. You think they would mind in Rome if we just keep the Pope here until after the season, and he can go back? No, he's already on a plane, darn it. But anyhow, okay, well, the Eagles again win it 24-17 against the New York Football Jets, and again, 10-0 all-time versus the Jets. A really good record continues at MetLife Stadium. They'll play there again later in the season against the Giants. And interesting division, that's for sure. It's anyone's division. You just got to get wins, and the Eagles got off to their first win of the season. Much, much, much more relieved this week than I was last week. So, as always, let's go Birds, and I'll be back with the pregame again coming up later in the week against Washington. Season of the Fan continues. Through 3 weeks now, the Eagles are 1-2. They're tied with the Redskins and Giants for basically second place in the division. Dallas is 2-1. But again, it's anyone's division, and if the Eagles can continue to play well defensively, they'll have a chance in just about every game they play this season. And we'll see what happens as we go forward. But right now, it's getting ready for Washington. Great win today. Let's go Birds. Let's continue the winning ways. This is Mighty Fan, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay.